All right, welcome back to Off the Tap. This week is episode 96, and we're doing Rocket Pop Gose from Urban South Brewery.
Um, episode last. I don't know. I think we celebrated enough last
We
week.
we
Episode
didn't.
95.
We skimmed right over that.
We did, but I mean, and that was a very important episode for one reason or another. You guys know how we feel about multiples of five.
Yeah.
But this for me is the big 6-5.
Oh, okay.
This is the 60. I know that's nothing to someone who's been obviously on the journey for 95 episodes, but
I
this is the big
mean,
6-5 for me. This
I mean,
seems like
I've
the most.
done 30 more episodes, but no big deal.
But this seems bigger for some reason than 55 or 50, you know what I mean, or 60 even. Six. I mean, obviously it is, but you see what I'm
Well, it's a
saying?
bigger
Like,
number, bud.
yeah, I guess so.
It is what it is. I mean, I get where you're coming from, but just
I'm just saying like 60 was to be celebrated, but I don't remember stopping and saying like, oh, it's my 60th. Maybe I did. Fuck it, we'll have to go back and listen. But
maybe.
the big 6-5.
Yeah, that's
Um,
impressive. We made it a long ways.
Urban South Rocket Pop Gose, and I've been saying Pop Rocket.
Pop
We're
rocket.
gonna Pop Rocket. As per usual, I have no idea what the fuck this is. And you know what? At this point, I don't think it would be unfair to our guests if I were to be prepared for what we're doing. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
it's
I don't
kind of
think
part of the journey for us to figure it out with them as we go.
I just feel like that's not fair for me to all of a sudden start like really paying attention aside from just looking at cans that look pretty from a distance. I
Hmm.
mean, I don't think that's how we pick certain things. Obviously um we have our favorites, right? I get stuck in, which you have to kind of pull me away from. I'll get really down a rabbit hole of like anything that this brewery's putting out is delicious, and then I'll get into another situation where I'm like, everything they have to offer is delicious, and
Yeah.
you're like, hey, we've done like 7 episodes back to back of the same brewery. Can we? No, it's not that
We've
bad, but
we've done
I
like
would.
7 episodes all from this area. We got to
Exactly.
branch out a little bit. Um,
So
yeah,
give me the
so
rundown on Rocket Pop.
yeah, so we've done this is our third Gosa, and we still don't really know how to pronounce it. We're just kind of winging it
Nope.
at this point. We're
Ha-
Gose,
have we
Goza, Gose. I don't really know.
have we
Uh,
binged it yet?
I've looked it up, and I'm not confident still when I hear it.
I don't
Uh,
even know how to. Real quick, I'm sorry. You know how they when you Google it or like you Wikipedia it, they put the pronunciation afterwards. I'm not skilled enough in how that works to even use that to my advantage.
yeah, someone on
Let
Reddit
me
said
see.
it's Goza.
Goza. Okay.
Um, so I don't know. They also did have the correct pronunciation of Hefeweizen though, so I kind of,
They did or didn't?
they did. They did.
Oh, well, all right. Okay.
So Goza maybe. Anyways, this is a 5.2% with ABVs and 10 IBUs,
Wait, you're
from what I
saying
know.
what did you have online for the Rocket Pop?
It was 5.2 for ABV
Okay.
and 10 on the IBUs.
And where did you get that?
Um, from their website and from Untapped.
Okay, well, on the can, it's saying 4%. And like if you were to tell me like 5.2 and it was a 5, I'd be like, yeah, all right. But 4 to 5 and a point 2 is a heck of a jump to be
Yikes.
wrong and also
That's
arbitrary, the 5.2 versus the
so
4,
we're
right?
talking about a few standard deviations away from the average here.
That's not even a miss by accident, right?
No, I don't know what that's. Yeah, that's straight from their website, 5.2 online. So
That is crazy. So it's 4% on the can. IBUs you're saying are a 10. I probably believe that because it's a Gosa.
yeah,
Okay.
Gosa.
Goza?
It,
Go.
yeah, I don't know. Anyways, this is our
So,
third Goza that we've ever had, and that we've
yep.
done on the podcast.
And throwback, I don't do you remember we went to Urban South, you remember that?
We did, didn't we?
We did. We went there in person while we were there. I think it was a week when we didn't this is probably 30 episodes back, but we went there for an event or not at the brewery for an event, but we were in New Orleans for an event, and we went there and had some of their food, which was great, and had some of their beers as well. Um, and it was a great overall experience. I think we posted some pictures while we were there because we
Yes,
obviously
yeah,
didn't have an episode that week, but yeah, so go back
we
and check
did.
those out.
I knew that Urban South sounded familiar.
Oh yeah, and
Now it
it's
makes
in a
sense.
such a fitting name too because it is kind of like in an urban post-industrial commercialized area by the river in New Orleans. But
Yeah.
yeah, we've had three Gosas. This is the
Go-
third. If I remember correctly, we're like batting 500. One we
Yeah,
didn't care for at all, and one was like,
first one first one was not good. Second one was a lot better. Um not yeah,
not well,
not
it's not well. I don't know how many Mad Men fans we have out there, but like if there's one quote throughout the 7.5 seasons that they put out there, hours and hours I watched that show, there's one clip where he just goes, "Not well," and it
not
is yes.
well. Um it's so this says on their website too,
Ooh.
it's a sour fruited or a fruited sour goza, which I
Ooh,
think
see,
is what most of them are supposed to be. I don't know really much about
I,
these beers.
it's usually brewed with at least 50% of the grain bill being malted wheat. Dominant flavors in Gosa include a lemon sourness, an herbal characteristic, and a strong saltiness, the result of either local water sources or added salt. Ooh,
Ooh.
local water sources that are super salty sounds shady, but they found a way to market it.
S-
Um,
It does
Moderate
say
alcohol content.
it does say on their website it's blue raspberry, cherry, and lime come together
Yes,
in this goza for a tart and sweet summertime treat.
yes. I don't see the summertime on the can, but I see summer treat. So yeah, that holds true.
Okay. I it's also a seasonal, clearly. Um,
Okay.
and it says that it's only available in Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Alabama. So I don't know how Texas got it,
That's that HEB, baby. They're
but we're out here.
pulling in favors, you know what I'm saying?
They're getting it out here for sure.
Um,
It is on
yeah.
draft there if you do happen to swing by the old Urban South down there in Nolans. Um, you can get it on draft and try it. I'm sure. We're gonna get into the tasting here in a second, but
Dude, I bet yeah, one thing first off, let's do a color check. It looks, and I mean this in the most respectful way, the camera's not doing it justice, okay? But I mean, camera's not doing it justice, but it looks like a this is not offensive, but if you've ever had Sunset Blush Franzia out of the box, you know what I'm talking about?
no. I mean, I know what you're talking about, but I've never had Sunset Blush Franzia.
Okay, specifically Sunset Blush. It has the same color of if you poured a styrofoam or I'm sorry, a clear solo cup of Sunset Blush and you let it sit for a couple of days, that's what it would look like exactly. The
After letting it
foam,
sit for a couple days.
yeah, because it's a little lighter coming right out of the cardboard box, but if you let it sit and kind of get cloudy and thicken up over a few days, that's exactly what this would look like. It's got a pink tinge to it. I only know that via a lot of scientific R&D. Okay,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
if you it's a little like has a pinkish cloudiness hue to it. The cup's not doing justice. It looks beautiful in the camera, and it looks beautiful in person too. But also the head has a little pink tinge to it.
Okay. It smells
Um,
delicious. I've been giving it a lot of whiffs here.
yeah. Also, sorry, before I forget, but after reading what a gosa should be, um, it sounds right up my alley. I'm kind of a little disappointed that we've only been 50% successful. I know we've gotten some. One of them was like way out of bounds, and the other one was like okay. But it the way that this is described, I feel like it's going to be delicious, and the way that like by definition what they should be is right up my alley. I love sours. I love lemon sourness. I like herbal.
Yeah.
I like all that. So I don't know why more of them aren't successful. This is only my fucking third one.
I
I
don't
might
know.
have had one more off pod, but
Okay. Well, I think the first one that we had might have been bad, man. I feel like we got a bad batch of something because it was just not it at all.
It tasted bad, but like I don't remember getting like the tumble tummies. You know what I mean? Like I didn't. It
Yeah, that's
wasn't.
true. But it was,
Um,
I don't know. Yeah, it was just weird.
all right, so I'm
Um,
gonna give her a little.
yeah, go for it. It
It smells super sour. Have you had it yet?
yes, I have. Oh yeah, I have.
Oh,
Oh,
dude,
yeah.
that's hey. Honestly, um, I was expecting, based on the way it smells, I was expecting more. It's pretty smooth compared to how it smells.
Yeah. I will
I
say
mean,
I'm not I don't know if it's just I haven't had a bomb pop in a long time or rocket pop. I'm not getting a lot of blue raspberry in there, but that's just because there's also lime. But maybe
mm,
I am getting some blue raspberry. I don't know.
I
It's just a
I
lot
don't
going
get
on.
those are drumsticks, right? Is what you're talking about?
What?
The popsicle. You're referring to drumsticks, right? The red, white, blue rocket looking thing.
You call them drumsticks?
Yeah, that's what it's called. It's
I
called a
thought it was
drumstick.
called a rocket pop, dude,
Mm,
or
uh,
or a bomb pop or something like that.
it might be. I might be thinking of the damn chocolate one.
You thinking of the chocolate cones that you get, the drumsticks?
Ah, shit, my bad, dude. Yeah, that's all on me. You're calling it
Yeah.
a rocket sickle? A rock
No,
sickle? What did you say?
a rocket pop, dude. The name of the
Oh,
beer,
bro.
brother. Come
I
on.
mean,
What are you
I thought like for copyright reasons, I didn't think that'd be possible.
I
Um,
mean, maybe not. Maybe it's bomb pop is what I'm thinking of then.
yeah, bomb pop. Let's see what that. Yeah, no, it's a bomb pop. Yeah, you're right. That's
Yeah.
exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But for copyright reasons, they had to go with rocket, bomb, rocket. Yeah,
Let's be honest, it should probably be called rocket in the first place.
it
It's really
should.
not shaped like a bomb. Like you think bomb, you think like atomic bomb, you know. And that's definitely not shaped like that.
Also, every time I think of rocket, uh, I think of Toy Story when they light it on the car and they
Oh.
just take off towards the truck, and he's like, "Rockets explode!"
Yeah.
Um, like
That's because you have young children in you.
much like
Watch
bombs,
Toy
I
Story.
guess.
Yeah.
Um,
I
yeah,
mean, the more I'm getting into it, the more I'm getting it a little bit, but the lime is overpowering the other flavors for me.
it is, but dude, there's like a I don't. It's not flat. I like it has a. It has a lot of like sudsiness to it and mouthfeel, but it's it's subtle. Like you get the lime when you smell it, but the beer itself is fairly palatable. It's very
Mm-hmm.
like those that
Yeah.
people that are like shit that's gonna be people that don't like sours or gosas maybe are like, oh shit, that's too extreme. I don't think this one is. I think this one's leaving a little to be desired, but not in a bad way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I agree 100%. It's weird to me that I love sours and I had never heard of these before.
Yeah, me either. I don't. I pretty much only get lime. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't get blue raspberry or berry or cherry unless it's blue raspberry in the sense of like that real cheap gum that only has flavor for like 2 seconds.
Hubba bubba?
No, I
Double
was thinking of
bubble?
stripes. Stripes.
Oh, stripes. Um, I mean, I'm thinking of it as like an icy. You know what I mean? Like, blue
Oh
raspberry
shit!
ices or cherry ices.
It's got a little bit of a blue raspberry icy finish, um, but very subtle because it's not like a super thick sugary syrup.
Yeah. So I'm saying though, I think the lime in it is just lime is just an overwhelming flavor regardless of what you're putting. I mean, you put it on a freaking street taco and no matter how good the rest of the street taco is, you're tasting lime still. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, that is true. A little goes a long way, and I think
Mhm.
maybe they overdid it. I wonder if because we haven't done a comparison, obviously at Urban South, I don't think we got anything that was canned. We had everything off the tap, but I wonder how close. This one doesn't taste canny at all. Does that make
No.
sense?
Well, yeah, I don't ever have that problem really, but that's good to
Oh
know.
shit. Yeah, well, it doesn't taste canny at all. So I wonder how close it is to actually what they're offering on draft. And I would imagine that they're offering it more than just probably throughout the summer, not specifically for July 4th, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would assume seasonal doesn't mean just for a holiday. I would assume it's a
Yeah.
summertime thing.
Unbeknownst to them, we're getting it in Tejas anyways. They weren't fucking expecting that.
Somebody smuggled this shit over, brother.
Eastbound and down, load it up and truck it.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Except it's just a guy in a Toyota Corolla with these in his trunk.
yeah. Just sagging that, just all 25 pounds of leaf spring capacity is just bottomed out. Um,
Just
still get 60 miles to the gallon in this hog. But so pretty can.
yeah, clearly a
Very
summer design.
oh yeah, dude. All the goodies that you ever
Fireworks,
yeah.
sunglasses,
They got the
sausage,
flip
ketchup,
flops, uncomfortable chairs, like
a
all the good
grill.
things. You said sunglasses.
Mm-hmm.
They got bait. You see the little bathing suits on there?
Yeah, spatula.
Yeah, dude.
We already said flip flops.
Yeah, just all the things that
Hat.
scream summer.
Yeah, there's actually
And
bomb pops on here as well.
yes, fireworks, a ketchup bottle, just Murica. You know what I mean?
Yeah, is that a carrot that I see on there? That's not what I think that is.
Where? What a carrot. Where you see a carrot?
I don't know, man. I'm looking on the line.
Oh, not on the line. On the line also said it was a 5.2. We know
That's
that
true.
not to be true.
That's a lie.
Um, so speaking of 4th of July, right? We're coming up on season. This will be our 4th of July episode. Whoop,
Yep.
whoop. Um,
Happy
what
birthday,
are
America.
happy birthday, America? Yeah. Good luck going to work tomorrow, England. Fuckers. But Rocket. So 4th of July seasonal Rocket Pop aligns with this. But what are your which we talk about food way too much, but they go hand in hand, right? I mean, I think beers one either beer is comparable to food or food is comparable to beer. But I would say of any holiday, and I guess as Americans, we just kind of take it a little too far anyway. We're like, this is my Easter beer, and this is my Christmas beer, this is my Thanksgiving beer, and this is my Sherry's getting released on parole beer. Like there's a beer for everything, but
This is my
what it
post-surgery beer.
fuck it. Uh yeah, this is Joey's beer for Joey's beer. But what is 4th of July? Um for me there's very specific things that you should eat on 4th of July, but what are your 4th of July go-tos? What screams 4th of July besides extremely hot, sticky fireworks and beer? What are the food things that you're doing? Not necessarily activities, but what foods are you wanting?
Hot dog.
Okay.
100%. There's
1000%.
there is nothing more American than a hot dog. I think it's one of the most unhealthy meals that we could eat, that we could ingest into our bodies, and it just screams 4th of July. Burgers, but specifically like home grilled burgers, not going out and getting a burger, not doing fast food burgers, but a good solid thickness home grilled burger in the backyard. Um,
Yeah.
the hot dog wise, I kind of feel the same way, except it could also be from somewhere. Like if we're talking about the JCI, I would still, that would still scream 4th of July to me.
Obviously.
Of course,
Um
clearly.
okay, so the reason that I asked the question is because I'm in the same exact boat. Just hot dogs. Whether I mean, I do want mine done in the backyard, but I mean, obviously, I'm not going to turn down a Coney
Hmm.
Island. But um, a hot dog or a homemade hamburger. And what's crazy about it is like I'll eat those things any other time of the year, but on 4th of July, that's what it has to be. I'm not one of those guys that's like, oh, you're smoking a brisket for July 4th. That's not my thing. I don't. I don't like I will eat that any other day of the year. But like
Yeah.
I don't want ribs on 4th of July, which are still very obviously. I think that there's a debate that could be had about a good rack of ribs is still pretty American, you know. But no, just a hot dog. And they don't have to be fancy. I want it to be a good quality hot dog, but I'm talking hot dog, bun, mustard, maybe if there's chili or cheese or something like that. But I'm not doing like the kraut and all, like I would otherwise. I'm not doing like the kraut and the peppers and the onions and all that. I just want it to be a simple mustard, maybe
Yeah.
chili, straight up dog on a bun. And then same with hamburgers, right? You can put fixins on those, but I'm not looking for the roasted chicken on 4th of July or the ribs or, a 24
Yeah.
hour smoked brisket or anything like that. That's just not my July 4th feast.
No, not at all. I think with the going back to the rib thing, I think here's the thing about ribs is if you're
Listen,
doing
here's the deal.
if you're doing
Okay.
if you're doing ribs for the 4th of July, I feel like it's either for your small immediate family, like who you live
Yeah.
with, that's all you're celebrating with, or you're extremely rich and you're doing ribs for everybody. And it's a
Yeah.
large thing. I feel like in between there, everyone's pretty much doing burgers or hot dogs or
I
or
agree.
or something along those lines.
Yeah,
Sausage,
because
brats, maybe.
possibly I think there's just a lot like for our family it's a little bit different because like everybody comes out and there's like all kinds of other I'm gonna say allied family, right? Friends that are just family, but like there's so many people that are just gonna be
Yeah.
there for every holiday. So if you're doing something that's gonna be expensive, like it's just gonna be a little more expensive. And if you're doing something that's cheap, then obviously it's gonna go a long way.
Yeah.
But I think 4th of July is one of those things that most people have a tendency to celebrate with more friends in a larger group of people than they would just immediate family. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
some folks don't some folks when they do Christmas or when they do Thanksgiving, it's just, you, your wife, your kids or maybe your parents, like it's a smaller situation. Our family's different, but it's a smaller gathering. But like 4th of July, the gloves are off. Like you'll go
Yeah.
somebody down the street could be like, "Hey, we're popping fireworks in the grass. You should come down." You get down there, there's 50 people and you're like, "Hot dogs
That's
it is."
that's what I was gonna say. Is I think it's because the 4th of July is so much more of like a community holiday.
It is. I mean, obviously we're
Like clearly Christmas you're gonna be spending with your family, right? Maybe like
yeah,
Memorial Day you would spend, but I feel like even a lot of people are just kind of like, oh, it's Memorial Day. Like,
yeah, and don't necessarily
we're
get
just gonna
together.
kind of we're just gonna kind of take this day to relax type thing.
I
But
think
4th of July, everyone's like, yeah, America. And then the
yeah,
next
I
day they're
think
like, ah, now I got to go back to work.
exactly, except for this year, obviously it being on a Thursday, not a lot going down on Friday for most folks, I would imagine. Um, it's not gonna be quite like post Super Bowl Sunday bad, but it'll be close. Um, I would say, I would say that
I know it won't be post Super Bowl Sunday bad actually, but we'll get into that.
it's a true testament to the last time somebody that you just randomly didn't know came over and was like, "Hey, you want to stand up for something together?" We were like,
Mm.
"Fuck yeah." And I think that happens a lot on July 4th. We're just like, "Do we want to celebrate this together?" And you're like, "I don't know you, but I believe in what you're saying, so let's do this."
Yeah, it's true. It brings the community together for whatever reason.
I'm glad that we were aligned on that because I think that all the time, more often than I should. Not Conway Twitty hair much, but I think about it like,
Or the
why is
Alamo,
it
of course.
or the Alamo. Yeah, it's not like a daily thing, but I do think like the go-to meal on July 4th is definitely dogs and burgers. And they don't even have to be of particularly good quality. Like a
Mm.
shitty dog on 4th of July is still a 10 compared to like eating brisket or something. And people are going to disagree with me, but I don't care about your opinion.
Yeah, yeah. Also, you know what else is the snack size bag of chips, like regular
Oh,
Lay's
yeah.
potato chips. That's the side.
Dude, it's so funny you say that too because I when you said snack bag of chips, we always have a shitload of chips at the house for the kids, right? But the OGs, and I think I saw this in a meme too. Like, you know how you're getting older is when you crave just the straight up Lays,
Just
dude.
the
Just the
regular Lay's. Potato
Just
chips, greasy,
I don't
delish.
need I don't need nacho cheese Doritos. I don't need sour cream and onion. I just want the OG crispy, salty, oily Lay's. And you're right, dude. That in the little bags. I
Yeah.
don't really even remember eating them ever on 4th of July out of the big bag. Not even in
No.
communal bags.
No. I don't. Yeah, no. You don't pour. Like you know how a lot of at a lot of parties sometimes Super Bowl parties included actually probably mainly people pour like regular chips into like a big bowl, right?
On the real quick for a second on the commercials, yes, but I have never, at least amongst our family, I've
No, not in
never
our
been to a
family.
party, bro. I don't think I've ever been to a party, even college. I don't think where they were pouring chips in
Well,
the
definitely not
bowl. I mean,
college, bro.
well, I mean, yeah, because each person's gonna get one chip, but like, I don't remember ever seeing chips outside of the bag ever at a party. Like that's only in Super Bowl commercials. But continue. I'm sorry.
No, I've seen it only because of I went to a Super Bowl party in high school at a friend's house and they had it like that. But which I'm like, dude, it's kind of a waste if you're being honest. You know, you're
Yeah.
just dirtying a bowl for no reason. But anyways, even if that were the case, like even if people did that more often, it wouldn't be a thing at 4th of July. They would just get the bowl out and put the fun size bags in the bowl for people to
You're
grab.
right. That I got you off track, but I'm glad you circled back because that is 100%
Yeah,
accurate.
it is accurate, 100%. 100%. So real quick, I was saying it's definitely not going to be like the day after Super Bowl Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Because this year we do not have the best of the best competing in the Nathan's hot dog eating contest because our boy Joey Chestnut has been banned from the hot dog eating contest, and I think out of solidarity with him, I will not be eating Nathan's hot dogs this year. It will not be
Bro,
Nathan's. It will be
well,
anyone else.
hold on. Before, first off, walk me through because I mean, dude, that's a hard and firm line. Because I mean, there's the Hebrew National and then there's Nathan's. When it comes to the elite of hot dogs, other than that, no offense to anyone, but throw your bar S's on there, throw your Oscar Mayers on there, and have a blast. You got 900 kiddos over because somebody's turning 7.
Yeah.
Just rock and roll with it. But other than that, I'm a Hebrew National and a Nathan's guy. So enlighten me on why it is that you're boycotting Nathan's because of him being excluded. I need to know the details because I know nothing about the situation.
Because they're the ones that run the hot dog contest.
No, I know that, but was he barred for a valid reason? Because that changes my thought process on will I not support Nathan's.
I mean, look, dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. I have no idea what the real reason why he got banned. Okay, from what I
Oh, well,
heard,
shit, dude. That makes a whole different. What if he was a complete jackass or something? Like, that's
I
not
don't,
Nathan's fault.
I don't care, dude. He's the best of the best.
Bro, you mean to tell me? First off, I'm going to Google it, but continue with why you're okay. Dude,
Well, I
yeah,
mean,
he's the
unless it's
best of the
something really
best, but like,
bad. But like, look, listen. They said that it was because he had a sponsorship with another company or something like that. Which I don't know if that was actually true or not. But to me, if that's the reason, I'm out. I'm not watching the hot dog contest, which I've done for the past, I don't know, as long as I can remember. If I'm able to watch it, I watch it. Um, but they can't. It's not whoever wins this year is competing for second place.
dude, I hope this isn't true. I mean, you're right, but here's the thing. I hope this is not true, but I'm gonna want if it remotely is, if there is just a small percentage of this that's true, then I will only eat Nathan hot dogs moving forward and fuck Joey Chestnut.
Oh no, what happened?
Um, it was announced on June 11th that Chestnut could not compete at Nathan's because he'd signed an endorsement deal with Impossible Foods, a brand that sells meat substitutes. So really, it's not even the fact that again, I can't confirm this to be true, but if it is, I'll never support him ever again for that obvious reason. Number two, it's not so much that he bought into some fictitious bullshit that substitute meats, but It's the fact that competitive eaters at Nathan's contest by contract cannot endorse hot dogs other than Nathan's, which sponsors the
At
contest. So for
at the
them,
contest or at all?
at all,
Oh.
um, bro, okay, like and I know where your argument's going. Like it might be a valid argument, but your argument's going, well, why not if he's not at the contest? Do you think Joey Chestnut exists without the Nathan hot dog eating contest?
Definitely not as big, but he does other eating contests all around the world.
Bruh, but the only thing most Americans know him from, I'm not saying that's the most important audience, but is from the hot dog eating contest, of which he is like a 15 or 16 time winner. But the fact that he would even toy around
Absolutely
first
disgusting.
with supporting a meat substitute, especially of all of them Impossible Foods, nah, bro. If he entertained a conversation with them at a table, there's no more. You're dead to me.
Don't you like the Impossible Burgers?
Absolutely not. It's the concept more. I mean, it's not even the taste or flavor. Like they've gotten that pretty close. It's the concept, the branding, the marketing, the um, entire bullshit upon which their branding is built. That's what frustrates me.
Oh,
Yeah. So it's not even I mean, the quality of it's fine. Like, I mean, I would say the quality of it. There's some things in there I wouldn't necessarily endorse, but they're the taste and texture of it. I mean, is far above and beyond what we've been able to see for non-meat meats. Um, but yeah, the falsehoods and the pillars upon which they preach are all bullshit.
interesting.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't want to go so negative down that rabbit hole, but yeah, firm supporter of if that's true. You know how the internet could be. I could literally
Yeah.
Google right now why not to like Gose, and then or why Joey Chestnut's a POS, or why Joey Chestnut's innocent. And the internet's gonna obviously spit back. This is one
Mm,
Google search. It's not a Bing search. It would definitely fall through if it was a Bing search. It was a
yeah,
Google
that's true.
search. So it seems to be true, but yeah, I would need to do some more digging. But if that's true, I might have to take all this back. Um,
I mean,
but
hey,
yeah.
listen, either way, to me, you can't you can't ban the best, man.
Yeah, I mean, first off, yeah. Listen, you're right. Everyone I believe that's gonna win will always be in the shadow of somebody who's gonna
It's I
outperform
mean
them.
I mean if we're being
Yeah,
honest
I
for
got what
the
you're saying.
past, even for like the past 10 years, it's really been a who's going to get second place contest anyways,
Yeah,
right? So it's really not any different, I guess, but it's still in my mind I want to see how many hot dogs this guy can shove down his throat.
yeah. I mean,
I want to see if
obviously,
he can break his record. That's what I tune in to watch every year. I don't tune in to see is Joey Chestnut going to win. I tune in to see how many is Joey Chestnut going to win by. And I don't get that this year. You know what I mean?
no. But if somebody, say by some happen, by the way, it does seem to be confirmed because Chestnut did say that he had no regrets about signing the Impossible Foods.
I mean,
Anyway,
that is what it
uh,
is.
yeah, it is what it is. But I would say this: let's say somebody comes out of the woodwork and beats his record. Would that be telling enough? Even if he didn't compete, would
Oh, if
that be
someone comes
telling
out
enough?
and beats the record, yeah, 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 I would, that I mean that would be awesome. But it's just not going to be as exciting right now. I feel like, it was like the times of Michael Jordan, right? When they were like, there's no one better, no one going to be better. Okay. Which I still believe there's not, I still believe he's at the top. That's a different discussion. But it's, when he was done, there was that gap until LeBron got there. And there was just no one. There was people that were like really good, but there was no one that was like, oh, this guy's the GOAT, right? And I feel like we're going to be in that stage without Chestnut there for a little while. It's just going to be like that until someone else steps into the spotlight and starts breaking records.
Yeah, but I would almost say that like it. I mean, we've yet to see someone come along that I still think Michael Jordan is the GOAT, and he will be for the longest time. And I don't know. I think all other claims are false about anyone else being. And I feel like Chestnut's probably going to be that guy for quite some time. Like I don't know, I don't
Yeah,
know when we haven't seen another Michael Jordan. I don't know if we're going to see another Joey Chestnut for a hot minute,
a long time.
even
But
even if he's not allowed to compete.
in the in September, Netflix is giving us the Chestnut versus Kobayashi.
Oh,
The
so
hot
it's a
it's a
it's a one on
versus.
one.
Yeah, it's a 1v1 live on Netflix. It's going to be absolutely electric. I can't wait. Now I wonder if they're doing Impossible or not.
I hope
I'm
not.
curious.
I'll spread the word and viewership will come down. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
a hard stance.
Spread
Sorry,
the
we might
word.
have to cut that, but I just hard stance, hard stance.
Oh wow. I think it's more
Um,
impressive if they eat those, if I'm being honest, to be able to hold them down.
not for the sake of their long-term livelihood. I'll leave it at that. Um, Anywho, so Joey's out. Speaking, one more food story for you. I got one more quick food story for you.
Okay.
Um, so today, randomly, it was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm only saying this because it was one of those situations where it's like, what do you do? What do you do, and how do you convince someone? Like I find myself to be remotely, depending on the situation, a fairly convincing individual, give or take, depending on the circumstance. But I'm probably more effective than not in convincing folks of like what the truth is. Anyways, long story short, it's like 2 o'clock, and no, like yeah, right at 2 o'clock, and the doorbell rings, which we look at the camera, whatever, and it's like DoorDash, and they've dropped a bag. At first, I was like, "What the fuck? What the hell's going on?" Right? So I opened the door, and it's McDonald's, and I was like, I'm like, Katie, did you order McDonald's? And she's like, no. And I was like, are you First off, the first thing that came out of my mouth was, are you lying? As if there would be any reason for her to just
Lie
make
about McDonald's.
make up a lie when it's there on our front porch. Anyways, she's like, no. So I run it out to the guy's still in the driveway. I run it out to the guy. I'm like, hey, we didn't order this. And he's like, well, it's got your address on it. And I'm like, well, I don't see it on here. We did the whole back and forth. He's like, I can't see it via the app because I already delivered it. And it's like a safety thing, but it had your address on it. And I'm like, well, we didn't order this. What do we do? And he's like, I have to leave it here. And I was like, okay. So I bring it inside and I set it down. I'm like, this is crazy. What's going on? Right. Um, so then I start calling because we frequently have guests that come to our house that will Grubhub food to our house, which is like I've done it on the road, but it's kind of a weird thing. Like I
Yeah.
normally don't do it if it's like my house, and you got to make sure that you change the address. And so I was like, oh shit, I bet you somebody Grubhub something and didn't change it from our address. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I start making calls, and the usual suspects are they're like, nope, didn't order anything. And then I I'm reading through I'm reading I'm like, what do I do with this? And I'm like, maybe we just leave it here, maybe we'll eat it. And then I sat back down and I felt guilty. I was like, you know what? It's got to be one of our neighbors. Like the number, maybe they're off by one number. This guy didn't have our address to verify with me. It's got to be. So not that I was scared to go alone, but like collectively, me and Katie went across the street. We like knocked on the door, and they were like, "Nope, we didn't order any food." So we went and knocked on another door. We're like, "Nope, we didn't order any food." And then as we're leaving one house, the girls from next door were like, "Hey, I think that's our." I was like, "Ah, it has to be your food," but like their address is way different than ours, even though it's right next door. And then it occurred to me, this is what's so crazy. This is what the order was. It was a high C, a chocolate shake, um, a 10-piece nugget, two sets of fries, and a hot chicken sandwich. But here's the deal. There was no chocolate shake inside that bag, and I had verified this before we left the house. So how guilty did I look handing that bag to them going, oh, this is your food. They dropped it off at our house. We didn't touch it. And then I was like, but by the way, they didn't put your chocolate shake in there. And immediately she was like, how did you know there was supposed to be a chocolate shake in there? And I was like, well, I mean, it's written on the ticket, but it didn't come, I promise. But how does she just take my word for it? I've been
Yeah.
holding on to her food for 45 minutes. It's been sitting inside my house.
Yeah. You
And
drank that
so,
chocolate shake.
yeah, that's the thing. So in that moment, I was like, there's nothing I could do or say right now that's not going to convince her that as soon as I crack that thing open, I mowed that chocolate shake down.
Every time she sees you now, she's
She's
gonna
gonna be
think
like,
you're chocolate shake guy.
so my freaking, she's gonna just be like, hey, Shake, what's up? Just straight up
Yeah.
stole her chocolate shake. Also, the other thing that was a little sketchy to me, I mean, it wasn't my food, and like it was probably safe, and I did not steal anything out of it. But the tape that you know how Grubhub is, like the
Mm.
tape that shuts the bag was very suspicious, and there
Oh.
wasn't a chocolate shake in there. And then also too, she mentioned a female name of the driver that was supposed to drop it off, and there definitely was not a female that based on um, his looks would have had that name when he dropped it off. I'm just gonna say that. So I don't know what but that happens with Grubhub, right? Like sometimes somebody goes to pick it up, but they don't
I
actually pick it
guess.
up. Right? It happens. But it was just I for me, like I went back inside and I scratched my head for like 10 minutes, like man, I wish that I could get them to believe me that I didn't drink that chocolate shake. Like,
And
there's
it's
nothing
funny
I could do.
because the more that you fight for that, the more that you're like, no, but seriously, I didn't.
I the
It
worst,
makes it
yeah,
even more sketchy.
yeah. I was just like, hey, notice that there was supposed to be a chocolate shake in the order. They didn't even put that in there. How funny is that? She's like, wait, they didn't put it in there, and I'm like,
No,
nope. And she's like,
absolutely
how do you?
not.
Well, at first she was like, how do you know that? And I was like, well, I mean, I opened it up, and she was like, oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Well, and I was like,
Interesting.
no, seriously, they didn't put it. You should call them and tell them that they didn't put it in there. You know. She's gonna be like, well, they also delivered it to the wrong house. Anyways, you're right. The more you try to defend the fact that you didn't steal it,
Yeah.
the guiltier I looked. And
Well,
I
I mean,
promise you, it was not me.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's like it's kind of like whenever you right, like I mean, I've never dealt with this, but you see it all the time in like shows, and I'm sure it happens in real life. But like when your coworkers eat your lunch out of the community fridge, and they're like, has anyone seen my lunch? No, 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 I haven't seen it. And the person that speaks up the loudest is the most suspicious, right?
Oh, 1000%.
That's kind of what it's like. It's same as like, who drank the last Coke? Did you drink the last Coke? No, I didn't. There was a
Dude,
Coke in
but
there.
but
You know what I mean?
here,
You knew there was a Coke in there. You know
he who smelt it dealt it. You know what I'm saying?
exactly.
But the problem is that I didn't want to get into a situation where I felt like if I was just upfront and transparent that like, hey, I looked at the ticket, I looked in the bag, you didn't have a shake. That would spare me from like if I just gave them the bag and they went home and then they opened it up and they were like, what the fuck, that dude
He.
stole our shake.
You know what else?
And then
Go
what?
ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
And, no, and then I feel like if I, because if I was in that situation, then I would be struggling with the decision to like, hey, should I go over there and ask him? You know what I mean? Like, should
Hmm.
I go confront him about stealing my shake? Or should I just maybe assume that Grubhub didn't put it in there? Because then, like, that, they have to bear that burden of, like,
Yeah.
should I say something? Should I not? Um, so I didn't want to leave them in that dilemma. I wanted them to know that, hey, listen, they didn't deliver it. I didn't steal it. And you don't have to make the decision in 5 minutes when you open that bag and realize that it's not there to
Hmm.
judge me or think that you need to confront me about it. Also, like any good Grubhubber or person that consumes Grubhub, they probably opened that bag and immediately, if I wouldn't have said anything, they probably would have opened that bag and would have been like, story of Grubhub's life. Fucked up my order and dropped it off at the wrong place.
Yeah.
They're batting 1,000 doing that. Not 1,000, but at least 600.
Yeah. I was gonna say maybe the delivery, driver was playing like big brain moves, right? He was like he opened it up and got the shake out
Mm,
and was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna deliver it to the house next door, so that it looks like he's the one that drank the shake instead of me."
dude, that is playing the long game. That is playing the long game, and also, at first I was gonna be like, why wouldn't he just keep the whole thing? But I think he has to deliver something.
Yeah.
So that's good call out
Listen,
on that.
listen, it's hot, brother. You see a nice ice
It
cold
is
shake.
for
Yeah.
show.
You see a nice ice
Also,
cold shake in your passenger seat. You might want to snag that. You know what I mean? I'm
I
not judging, bro. I'm not judging him. A little
also
bit,
being
but not a
honest,
lot.
based based on the time it was dropped at the door and how hot it was outside, the fact that I trucked it to a number of different houses and in guilt left it on the counter for at least 10 minutes,
It was
the
going to be
shake
melted
wouldn't have been worth
anyways.
shit. Yeah, yeah, it
It
was gonna
would have
be
been chocolate milk. It was,
all the that high C was running at like 60% dilution by the volume of ice that had already melted. So,
Oh yeah.
which no disrespect, but I mean a little bit of an odd
Oh, you
choice
know
of
what?
beverage. You know what I mean?
I was about to say I respect the high C.
I mean, I respect it too, but like that's a bold as an adult. I mean, they're not adults, but they're
I
teens for
mean,
sure. Like
I don't know.
that's
Sometimes one of those random drinks like that slap. Like
oh,
a
I
big
mean,
red sometimes, dude.
I'll do it if I'm eating. Oh yeah, I'll do it if I'm eating in. But like that's not something like if I'm going through a drive-through or if I'm grub hubbing it or something, like I gotta go with something standard OG. I really only do the fancy stuff when I eat in. I'd love to see the stats on that, like how
You're
much
doing the
hype.
high C if you're eating in the restaurant. That way you can fill it with something else before you leave.
Yeah, like I'm gonna do it and then be like, I don't know, it was good, but it wasn't as good, or yeah, it's a little too sweet or something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I would just straight up hard commit putting that into a Grubhub order. That's
Yeah.
decisions were made, you know.
Decisions were
But
made.
long story short, I'm glad I'll never be able to convince these people that I didn't steal that shake.
And
But
I was gonna say for a second, like, you could order a chocolate shake and just send it to him. It wasn't like your fault, but then that would make you look even more suspicious.
oh yeah, it would a
You know what I
thousand
mean?
percent. Because then they would be like, he felt
Or
guilty because
he's
he snagged our freaking shake.
yeah. You just gotta kind of let it go and live with the fact of whether they believe you or not. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
otherwise, why would I have replaced it? Because like that's not my burden. That's on Grubhub and or
Yeah.
McDonald's at this point.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, that's true too. Because I'll tell you what, I've gone through the McDonald's. I'm gonna say I can't give you an amount of times I've gone through a McDonald's drive-through in my life, but I can almost guarantee you that at least 67% of the times I've gone through a McDonald's drive-through, they've messed up my order.
Yeah, a little more than 2/3. I
It's
makes sense.
yeah, it's more than 2/3 of the time. And now I understand my orders were a little bit special when I was a child, right? Not that they were hard, but it was
Yeah,
not just like give me the Big Mac or give me the McDouble. It was always, I need it plain and dry, nothing on it, no cheese, nothing, right? Because I was a weirdo. Okay, I get that,
yeah.
but I feel like that should make it easier, man. That shouldn't make it harder. You just put nothing on it.
Yes, I mean I guess the modifier thing can be a little bit difficult. I'm not saying that's an extreme. Yeah, you're saying like it would be different if you were like I
Like if I
asked
was
for
giving them
mustard
the
only and extra pickles or some shit
yeah,
like that. Like that'd be a little more difficult of a modifier.
yeah, if I was giving them like what some of these people order from Starbucks, bro, have you seen this?
Oh
These like
yeah.
special orders. They mean two squirts of this, two sprays. Give me like two huffs of this real quick on there, and let me get a
Yeah,
little
can
bit of
you
that dragon's milk instead of the almond. I don't. Want a little bit of the chestnut milk this time, please.
for
Like, dude.
15 seconds can you wave a wooden spoon over the open top?
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, we can do that, no problem. You go to
Yeah, for
McDonald's.
sure.
If you went to McDonald's and did that, they'd be like, yeah, sure, and just give you the whatever's on the number.
Sure enough, and then they pull the thing and fill
Yeah,
up the cup. But
yeah,
so I'm not a modifier and never really have been ever, and they still get it wrong.
yeah.
Like I'll just be like, yeah, I'll have a number one, and they're like, what size? And I'm like, medium, and they're like, what do you want to drink? And I'm like, just a Coke. And then you get to the drive-through and you make the loop, and you're like, yep, got no fucking fries, and this is obviously a Dr. Pepper, so that's great. I'll just take it. Just let me take it. I'm not going back
It's
through.
just yeah.
So
That's kind of where they get you because you're like, am I really that bent out of shape out of like $2? You know?
people are always like, "Oh, is it? What's the from waiting? Is your job too hard to take a food order?" Like, no, that's not what it is. Like, there's a very unique system that's going on in there, and yeah, you want them to get it right. You want them to double check it, but it's not like a failure of one particular person. It's a number of irons that are in the fire. So yes, I do get extremely frustrated. Honestly, I don't get frustrated if it's mine. Okay, at all. Like if mine gets screwed up, I'm like,
Yes,
shit, man. It is what it is.
it is
But
what
when
it
I get
is.
back, right. But I'm not a picky person. So like, but when I get back to the house and there's that one person that's like, wait, did they put mayo on another sandwich that was in the same bag? Fuck that. I'm not eating that. And you're like,
Yeah.
excuse me, what? Like
Yeah.
the that's when I get frustrated because there are some people that, you know, we happen to be in our circle where you're like, really? Like it's got pickles on it, just scrape the shit off, or it's got shit, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? It's not the like as a kid, and for kids maybe it's a little bit different, but as a grown adult, like just get over it. Like just take it off of there. And like, yes, they screwed up, and yes, I told them, but like that's the only time that I get frustrated when they screw something up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I hate it whenever I get and this is how my dad is, right? When he gets home with the food and
Yep.
like my order's messed up, I'm like, ah, okay, well it's no big deal. And he's like, well, son of a, blah blah. And
Yeah.
I'm like, if it makes you that mad, you had to just check it before you
Yeah.
leave. You know what I mean? Because like you said, it doesn't really bother me. Like it's annoying, right? You want your stuff to be right, but at the same time, like you said, I mean, it is what it is. You're either gonna eat it or you're not at that
And I
point.
always, and you're right, checking it is just so easy, but like sometimes I give myself the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, dude, there's no way they screwed this up. Like it's physically
Also,
impossible.
there's that feeling of like being in a rush because people are behind you, right? So you get
Yeah,
the bag and you don't want to sit there and like check it. But also,
and
dude,
I
it gets so frustrating when you're, especially when you do this move. You're like, are the sauces in the bag? And they're like,
yeah,
yeah. And they're the ones that put the sauces in the bag, okay? The ones that hand you the
yeah,
bag, and you look in
yeah.
there as soon as you get home, and there's no sauces.
I agree. You know, and you always feel a little bit guilty too, like checking it in front of
Mm.
them. But I think maybe it's kind of like when you get pulled over and you get a warning ticket. Like I don't care what you say. When you get pulled over and you get a warning ticket, um, there's two types of people. There's the people that are like, oh shoot, that could have been a real ticket. I need to be a little more conscious of what I'm doing with my vehicle, and I need
Hmm.
so the warning is effective. And then there's the other people that are like, oh, I got a warning, which means I can continue to do what I was doing because I didn't fucking get in trouble yet. You know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
those two types of people. And I feel like checking the food in front of the person at the window is a 50-50. You're going to get some of people that are like, oh, shit, I need to sharpen up my double check of the bag before I send it out the window. I hear you loud and clear. I get the warning. I'm worried about it. And then sometimes they're just like, they shut that window and they're just like, yeah, check it, motherfucker. I don't care what's in there. I don't give a
Yeah.
shit right now.
I
You
don't
do
care.
you, but
Move it along. Let's get going.
yeah. So sorry that we got way off track on that. What are we doing on
Yeah.
time? We getting
Well, we have enough time real quick because there's one more thing I want to talk about that I don't think is going to be relevant for another episode, and it's
yes.
whether it's your experience with an ice cream truck, man. Because obviously we grew up here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where my experience with an ice cream truck was that of playing outside, hearing the ice cream truck coming down the road, and having to run out and stop him at the road
Yep.
and say I'll be right back and then run in and get as many dollars as I could from my parents
Yep.
and run back out there, right? Whereas I feel like that's not the experience that you're supposed to have with an ice cream truck. You're supposed to
Mhm.
be able to just it's supposed to just happen. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't think any. They're probably used to it because I don't think any kids are just hauling around free. Just straight up cash.
Yeah.
Especially in today's economy. I mean, now you need like a fiver to get something off that bad boy. You know what I mean?
Oh, for real?
Back in the
I
day, back in,
imagine.
I mean, I haven't bought off of an ice cream truck in a while, but I would imagine, back then it was $1 here, $2 for this or whatever, $1.50 for something. But now, yeah, I would imagine you're not getting a freaking Rocket Pop unless it was
$2.50.
you got a five spotter on you, dude. Real quick, put it, to use corporate America talk. Put a pin in that for a second. I want to come back to that comment that I just made. But so I think the big difference is we lived obviously not in a rural area. I mean, like we had neighbors that were close enough, like
Yeah.
we weren't in a neighborhood by any means. But so I there was a lot of space in between houses, so like it would be probably pretty normal for him to like somebody to stop and be like, "Hey, let me run and get cash," and him just be like waiting there for a little while. Because I don't think they came like when I was a little bit younger, they didn't necessarily ride up and down the street then. That might have been later on, which is the comment that I was gonna make is I loved going to a friend's house that lived in a neighborhood because that's when I knew for sure we were going to have access to an ice cream truck. Because at our house, at least until later on, till I was older, it just wasn't a thing coming down our street. And it's
Yeah.
probably that it did come down our street, but it just took forever
And you
because
couldn't hear
everybody
it.
had to stop it and then run back inside and get cash, and that took a long time.
Or if you're in your house, you don't hear it.
Oh no, for sure,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? You
Or
have
you
to be
might,
outside.
or if you were in your house and you heard it, you were like, "Nah, it's
It's
too
too
late."
late.
Like
Yeah, you
you
already
had to be,
passed.
yeah, you had to be like damn near at the mailbox and hear it and be like, "Oh yeah, 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 I gotta
Yeah.
run."
Yeah.
But yeah, you're not hearing it in the house and catching it. Whereas if you lived in a neighborhood, like we could hear it inside the house and be like, "Oh shit, it's gonna be here. Let's get some cash from your dad and run out the 20 feet and catch it."
Yeah. Right.
Um, I just thought of a genius idea that no way we're gonna unbox and completely unwrap before we have to wrap this one. But hear me out, man. What if? And I'm sure that there's a lot of like red tape and a lot of like loopholes. But what if, dude, there was just a beer truck that would ride through the neighborhood and play, I'm going to assume Creed, Nickelback,
Led
something like
Zeppelin.
that. Zeppelin, little Hendrix every now and then, some Beatles, depending on the nature of the neighborhood. And it just attracted grown men out to the cul-de-sac to enjoy a cold beverage.
Listen, we're on it. We give way too many great ideas out on this podcast.
Dude, I just saw a picture of it was a little bit Hank Hillish, like King of the Hillish. But honestly, we're talking about 4th of July, every single American cul-de-sac could benefit from this. You just make the street, and then slowly but surely, people will meet at the truck, and then they're like, "Hey, let's walk down to the cul-de-sac and have us a cold beer." And then the truck sells them the beer they enjoy. They go back home. Less folks are drinking and driving. Number two, you get whatever selections on the truck. Three, it could be pretty cost effective and still, because people are willing to pay. You go to a bar, people are paying $7 for a beer or something like that. Even
Yeah.
if you got three or four for regular whatever was available, so you could buy in bulk. This is the business side of it. And then the third or fourth thing is just the community of people being,
Community
just
camaraderie.
community camaraderie, man. And all it took was somebody driving the truck down there. I think it's a great
Mhm.
idea.
You
Again, I'm sure
start
there's a bunch of laws, but
you start hearing the Zeppelin coming around the corner, and you walk outside, and your neighbor across the street, who you've never really talked to, also opens his door and comes outside. You look across, and you're like, "Hey, man, what's going on?" And
bro,
you come up to the car the truck together, and you order what you're gonna order, and he goes, "Oh man, that's what I was gonna get. Nice call."
boom.
You
And
know what I
then
mean?
now America becomes friends again. Like
Yeah.
I can just see a bunch of grown men yelling back into their homes, "Linda, get my wallet! Get my wallet!" And then the next thing you know, there's 15 dudes sitting. And then
I,
obviously, what?
I'm thinking now about, like, where we live, if that happened, right?
Yeah.
Instead of like a neighbor, you just see like this 40-year-old man hauling ass,
Running down the crushed concrete
running
driveway.
running down the driveway to tell the beer truck to stop so he can go get some dollars
Hey,
from his wife.
hey man, hey man. Um,
Hey man, you just sit right here for a second. I'll be right back. Coming back with a 10 after yelling with his wife for it.
I see so many scenarios where this is just a positive thing. Like I can already see like if I were walking out and there were dudes. So like this doesn't necessarily happen with kids. I don't think. Maybe it did, but not in my experience personally. But like I could just see from a distance like guys that are trying to make it down the street to the truck, and I'm like, ah, shit, he's not gonna make it, and I'm like, I'll just pick up 5 of these, and then I will just buy them all, and then that way, when they get there, they've got one, even if they missed the truck and they didn't have cash
Yeah.
on them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a
I
good idea.
think it's an idea that maybe we should put a little more thought into. We should probably toss around some ideas. But that's the subject I wanted to circle back around to. So I'm glad we put a pin in that, and then we were able to just unpin her,
Mm.
bring her down, bring her to life.
That is the adult version of the ice cream truck that we're
It
wanting.
is. And I think it's pretty solid. Again, I don't know how all the rules work, but tell me that's not good for like for the most part, that's not good for at least the average American. Because also too, here's the thing too. We're not saying that the truck's gonna sit out there and just get dudes tanked. Like
No, no, it's just a pass
it's
through.
yeah, it's a pass through. Like you're getting one or two beers max, and then that's it. And then it goes on about its way, and then you enjoy those. And if you want to continue, community, then you have to do that on your own. If not, you go back to your house and you move on about your day. So
Yeah.
it's not a terrible.
It's a community beer cart, man. That's what it is. It's just like
Yeah,
going
dude.
golfing and the beer cart coming around.
Exactly. I
You
don't see
know?
why that breaks any rules.
No, I wouldn't see that. All right, it's time for us to get into the WWYBDs now. Would you like to go first?
I would not.
Okay. I can go. I can go first. I know I've said this before, but I think, or I know I've said something similar of my WWYBD before, but for whatever reason, uh, anything that's sour to me, like a sour beer, is just an immediate I'm at a brewery beer. I don't,
No.
and I think it's because some of my favorite sours are from one of my favorite breweries to visit around us. Um, and so I just
Mhm.
automatically go there. And so this for me is a brewery beer, but I'm sitting outside. I'm not inside the brewery. I'm sitting outside. Um, it's warm. It's not hot. Uh, and I'm drinking this to stay cool, feel somewhat refreshed, even though I'm not. Especially with the lime. The lime is a really nice touch for like a warm day, you know. And but I'm not in a wooded area though. I'm in like a field. You know what I mean? Like a large grassy patch. That's where I'm at. And there's like there's there's benches and picnic tables and whatnot. So yeah, nothing special. Just a brewery beer for me. I think just with any sour type beer.
I agree too. I don't. Aside from this, and maybe I've never. I will put it this way: off pod, I've never had a sour at my house or something of this nature. Like I
Yeah.
don't seek it out unless I'm. So for me, I didn't. I mean, guilty as charged. Thank you for just coming down hard on me. But I didn't really have a WWYBD, and I think that's why. It's because like I don't consume sours or um something like a gose or go. What did we say? Gose.
Goza? Goza?
Goza. I just don't consume them outside of a brewery. And so yeah, for me it would be like at an event or at a brewery or one time right when Finley was born, I was gifted like a very rare barrel aged kind of sour. Honestly, it must have been a Gosa. Um and it was very very delicious, but that's the only one other than the ones we've done on the podcast that I've ever consumed out of a can or at my house. They've always been at a brewery. So mine would be
Oh,
somewhere at a brewery. Inside or outside. But yeah, maybe yard games, something like that. But again, it's strictly because I would feel it's only available there.
yeah. Yep. Nothing special there. All right, so let's get into the ratings now. I can go first for this again.
Go ahead.
Um, Entry and aftertaste, I have a 5 for both of them. I love that.
Whoa.
I love it. Um,
Okay.
it feels great going in. It tastes great afterwards. You get a little bit. I do get a little bit of like an it's an artificial cherry that I'm getting in the aftertaste, but I do get a little bit of it. Body, however, I do have it a 3, and that's not saying that I don't like the way it tastes. I think it tastes very good. I like it, but it's not what I was expecting from the name Rocket Pop. Okay. It's just not the flavor I was expecting. Good, not the flavor I was expecting. Color, I'm giving it a 4. I think it looks good. Based on what I saw in the camera, it looks good. The head looked great on it. Um,
Yeah.
that could bump it up a point, honestly, the way the head was. Bitterness, I have a 5. I think it's great. Acidity, I have a 5. I think it's great. It's kind of really right there where you want it for a sour or a goza. Fizz, I have a 4. I almost gave it a 3 only because my burps were sometimes a little bit painful, but I think that's because of what we ate for dinner. So, I think my burps are just a little bit painful regardless. But I had a lot of them throughout, and yeah, so I can't complain about that. So that's my total. That brings my total score to a 31.
Wow. So when we started off, or when you started off, I was like, we are going to be on opposite ends of the spectrum. Not because I don't like the beer. It's just you came out swinging hard and heavy. And like, if this were a scale, like the first entry, aftertaste, and body, like you were way here and I'm here. But then when it comes to the other side, so like color, bitterness, acidity, and fizz, we start to level out. So you said you had a 31?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're only off by 3 points. I had a total of a 28, but for me, there's a ton of things going very, very well for this, but um, when we talk about sours or gosas, excuse me, man, fizz could have come up a tick. But when we talk about gosas or sours, for me, I have entry, aftertaste, and body all at a 3. Again, threes aren't bad, but I don't think they're above and beyond base level. I think it enters okay. It stays consistent. The aftertaste is okay, but I kept mentioning that it's kind of like, it's not flat, it's bubbly, but it just starts and finishes. It's not really, there's not the journey along the way. Body is 3, mouthfeel was okay. But color, I have it a 5. I think it's got a unique foam. I told the story about the sunset blush, but like, it's a cool color that it's pretty as a beer. And the longer I looked at it, it does have some more amber tones to it, and it is very beery. But it's pretty cool when you're pouring it, and it's got a very fruity kind of tinge to the head at first. Bitterness, I have it a 5. It's only just a bit away from what I think would be perfect. Same with acidity.
Agreed.
I think
on
they
both
just
of those.
they crushed it on that. And then fizz, I have a 4. Obviously, you guys know I locked that in pretty early. Could be a 5. Could be a 3 though, because we did have some aggressive dinner. So my total is a 28. But I think that with color, bitterness, acidity, and fizz really holding more of the load than the entry, aftertaste, and body. So that's my thought. Not a fridge sitter. I mean, in fact, I have consumed all 3 that I had allotted. So it won't fridge sit. I will recommend. The problem is with this one is not only is it seasonal, but it shouldn't be available here. So it's going to be hard for folks to kind of scoop it up if you recommend it.
Yeah, I think if you're into sours, and you're able to find it in the Houston area, or obviously, like I said, it's in Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Alabama. If you're in those areas and you can find it, I think you should try it. Definitely, again, for me, not a fridge sitter as well. And yeah, I mean, I think it pretty much, it sours for me in general scream summertime, but it does scream summertime to me.
Dude, they're like, you know how everybody always this is gonna be offensive, but you know how everybody always jokes about IPAs, like, oh, when people think craft breweries, they think IPAs because like that's the hipster movement, whatever you want to say, right? This is the craft brew hipster shandy.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's really what a sour is. It's like a hipster shandy. It's like, uppity craft brewer hipster shandy. But they're more than that. Also, one other thing I want to know, I don't even know, shout out to Urban South. I have no idea if they're using any artificial flavors and colors. Like, I'm not a guy that judges, but it doesn't taste artificial at all.
No,
So,
when I said earlier the artificial cherry, I just need y'all to
no,
know
I
that
know.
it's not like candy cherry. You know what I mean? It's the typical cherry you expect in like a drink. That's that flavor that you get. But yeah, and also if you can go to the Urban South Brewery, we recommend it. It was fun when we went. Cool place to hang out. And clearly this would probably be even better on tap. I mean,
Oh
let's be
yeah,
honest with ourselves. So
beer selection was great, environment was great, and we went when it was
pouring down
starting
rain.
to get, pouring down rain. That was our saving grace. It was starting to get a little warm, but also food was phenomenal too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
shout out to
all
them.
around
Great
something
place.
to enjoy.
Great place, great beer. All right, well, we have gotten to that point in the podcast where I'm going to tell you to go follow us on social media on Twitter and TikTok at Off the Tap Pod, and on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Off the Tap Podcast.
Forgot to mention this earlier, but with 4th of July right around the corner, I wanted to mention Playing with Fire. And playing with fire, I have been doing. I have not charged these headphones in 20 episodes.